All right, all right. Here we are back with another awesome episode. Well, I say awesome. Hopefully, you think it's awesome of True Story Bro. Today, I've got a good friend of mine who I've met through social media and a couple different groups that we both belong to. His name is Philip Sessions, and he is a Christian. He's married with one daughter, a new daughter, which is pretty exciting. Fitness enthusiast, self-development junkie. I like that. Coach, author, and podcaster. We'll leave it at that. We're going to go through kind of what Philip is all about. I love this dude. He is you were the first podcast that I've ever been on, so I got to give it to you, bro. So maybe it's your fault why this is happening right now. So we'll just blame it on you. Anyway, Philip Sessions, let's have a quick talk about where you're from, where you grew up, kind of like give me a backstory of kind of your upbringing and so on and so forth.
All right. Well, first of all, John, thanks for having me on the podcast. And I'm honored that I was your first podcast you were ever on. And the fact that I'll take the blame. I mean, it was my fault that you're starting this whole awesome podcast, True Story Bro. So I'm going to take that blame for you. Don't worry about it. Everybody, I'm sorry that you're having to deal with that. Thanks to me. I created this beast here.
There we go. There we go. I love it. There we go.
Yeah, but I grew up in a small town called Hockley. It's hockey with an L. And so Hockley, Texas, probably about an hour outside of Houston, Texas area. Grew up just in that small town. I guess I was actually born in, for the first couple of years, was actually in the Houston area. Then we moved out to the country. Really grew up kind of being the outsider, being the shy kid, being the person that didn't speak up, was always very reserved. And a lot of that, I think, had to do with just my parents and the different ways they kind of talked about things and raised me. And my dad worked a lot when I was younger. Not that he neglected us, but he did work a lot. So those younger years, I was raised a lot by my mom. And being a mom, she wants to take care of me. She wants to baby me and everything. And so it was always like, hey, don't fight, don't do this and that. And so I kind of was a little bit of a wuss, to be honest, when I was younger. And then in high school, I finally started opening up, being a little bit more talkative, but only with my clique. And then finally go off to college, and I got into the gym. I said, hey, I'm going to have more time, which I really shouldn't have had more time, seeing as I was going for a bachelor's in electrical engineering. But I found more time to go to the gym, which is why I love the gym so much. And got bigger, got stronger. And I was actually always kind of a little bit above average on size, but I did cross country and track in high school. So I was very big for a long distance runner, but I wasn't really a big guy then. And now I'm on the bigger side. I'm not the biggest out there or anything, but definitely.
Oh, you're jacked, bro. Come on now.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. But, just really got into the gym, got more confidence in myself, and found myself to become more outgoing and really just kind of going from there and going into 6 years ago, I moved over to South Carolina. So moved over to the Greenville, South Carolina area because I was out of work from oil and gas for about 3 months. And then ended up bouncing to Georgia a year after that for a year. And then back to South Carolina because I really loved it there. And I wasn't ready to go back to Texas yet. And now I currently work for BMW as a controls engineer and building up a business on the side for coaching. So speaking coaching, helping people get better at speaking, at presenting, at being able to communicate and get their message out, whether it's through a podcast, through a book, on stage, on video, whatever it is. And so now I jokingly say that I'm stuck here in South Carolina because my wonderful wife and now beautiful little girl, we got married about 2 years ago. And she's from South Carolina. We moved across the street from her parents because
you're not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere.
All right. No, that's it.
I'm stuck in South Carolina.
You're stuck. It's not a bad place to be, though. Huh?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I've heard good things about Greenville. When I lived in Myrtle Beach for a year, for about a year during my freshman year of college, and I met a dude from Greenville. He's a real good guy.
Nice. Named Chris. It's awesome. It's funny because being from Texas, I always thought like, okay, I'm in the South. When they're coming over here, everybody's like, that's not the South. And my wife's always like, that's the Midwest. And this is definitely the South here. There's different Southern hospitality here versus Texas, especially the Houston area. I mean, it's a huge melting pot.
Yeah. See, when I lived in Myrtle Beach, I worked at a golf course and I worked with a bunch of old school, like Southern dudes. And I was the Yankee. And call me Yankee, like, yeah, what's up, Yankee? And I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. I'm like, Yankees, whatever. I'm a Yankees fan. And, you know, then I'm like, dude, we won the war, man. Back off. You know, I was just
Right.
like, just shut your mouth. But anyway, we had fun. We were all like, we all had a good time.
Oh yeah.
Let's bring it back real quick. I know you gave us a lot there on your where you're at and where you've gone through. So what'd your father do for work?
So my father was in the landscaping business. So he had his
Okay.
own landscaping business, mainly mowing Walgreens. And
Mhm.
this was kind of right before CVS became this huge thing and
Yeah.
basically saw both on each corner. But he
Yep.
did that. And then he switched over because he couldn't keep the help, and switched over to
Sure.
actual commercial bush hogging. So he mowed fields with a big tractor.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what he did
All right.
for
So
a
that
living.
little entrepreneurial little view
Mhm.
from there, from the upbringing there, that
Yeah,
makes some
yeah.
sense
And
for you.
then,
Yep.
yeah, I've got the entrepreneurial blood on both
Yeah.
sides because my grandpa actually moved from South Dakota down to Texas, and
Hmm.
he moved for gas. He had a gas station up there, then moved down here to the Houston area, and
Hmm.
then he actually switched over to mufflers and brakes because was that the 70s, I believe, when they moved down. That's
Okay.
when the catalytic converters were a huge thing and everybody was switching over. And so he switched
Oh
over to
yeah.
mufflers and was doing that. And so that's, he had that. And of course, both my grandpa was, or I guess my great grandpa on that side and my grandpa were farmers. And
Mhm.
there's just a lot of
Yeah.
entrepreneurialism within my
Yeah. Oh
family. So
yeah.
just
Absolutely.
destined for me to get there
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah. So you talk about, I know when we initially first spoke, we talked a lot about like the people that are going to hear your story, and you were like you said, you were real quiet, real shy. Like, what was it like? Were you picked on at all, or was it just you just kind of kept yourself and did your own thing?
I mean, I was picked on a little bit.
Yeah.
I mentioned about kind of being that wimp, if you will, because of my
Yeah.
mom. There was a kid that was kind of a bully to me a little bit. That
Hmm.
we played baseball together, little minor league, whatever.
Yeah.
We just played baseball together, and he was one of the better pitchers, and he could pitch really fast compared to other kids. And he did one time threaten that he was going to throw the ball at my neck. Well, now thinking back, I'm like, how likely was he going to be able to do that?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could
Right.
have I could have easily like turned and got hit in the shoulder or
Right.
on the
Right.
back or anywhere, but that really scared me so
Yeah.
much. And
Yeah.
my whole baseball career, and I ended in 8th grade. I didn't go
Yeah.
on to high school to do it,
Yeah.
but I struggled with batting. I could not bat for anything. There was one year that I did really well, and my mom wanted to buy that bat from the person I kept borrowing that bat from, but I just couldn't do well because I lacked that self-confidence in myself,
Yeah.
all because that guy kind of bullied me.
Yeah, self-confidence is a big thing. I mean, it's,
It
and
is.
something like that, an experience like that, feeling threatened and not really knowing how to navigate that. I mean, I think that happens to a lot of people, girls and boys, in grade school and growing up, and it shows that affected you, going forward, especially in sports, right?
Mhm.
And what about now, so that was that, and then so now that's grade school up into 8th grade, and in high school, what you said, you had your own clique, that kind of like, who did you hang around with? What was your group like, in high school?
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of go back. There was a story back in 3rd grade. It's kind of
Oh yeah.
funny how I talk so much and I help people get better at speaking. There was a time in 3rd grade. So if you are afraid to speak, if you're a big introvert, you can change, because in 3rd grade
Yes,
I'd missed a day of school,
that's right.
and I came back and the teacher, I asked her, hey, what did I miss? Clearly I'm kind of nerdy. I'm in 3rd grade asking what did I miss in class.
Yeah.
But I asked her, she's like, oh, I didn't realize you missed class. I was that quiet. So I went from
Wow.
being this quiet, shy guy to
Yeah.
finally being in this clique that it was a lot of different people. I had
Yeah.
one of my best friends still today. He's actually from Cambodia originally.
Oh
So,
wow.
he's Asian.
Yeah.
And then just had a bunch of other kids throughout. And I guess there was a couple of other nationalities, if you will,
Sure.
that were in this group, but we were all kind of people that could kind of fit in with other groups, but we
Hmm.
didn't completely fit in. Like, people would
Right.
liked us, they talked with us, but we didn't really fit in with that
Yeah.
crowd. We didn't fit in with any
The cool
crowd. But
kids or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
were kind of, I guess we weren't really losers, but we weren't cool kids either. So
Right.
we just
Yeah.
happened to find each other and really get together. And we
Yeah.
stuck up for what we believed in and everything, because we'd see, different things that go on around school and
Mm.
how the teachers would kind of act about certain things. I remember we would get rowdy during lunch. Like, we're sitting there being talkative, getting kind of loud, and the
Mhm.
teachers would come over to us and say something. And I really think it's because they knew they could say something to us and we would actually listen and obey what they said.
Yeah.
But it was still frustrating because then you have somebody at the table right next to us, and it was a bunch of people being even louder and more obnoxious than us, standing up, standing on chairs, and they wouldn't say anything to them. And so it was
Right.
just really frustrating. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it
so I
is.
was kind of in the middle ground. I wasn't
Yeah.
the loser, but I wasn't the cool kid either.
Right. Right.
And I really only talked with those friends so much. I mean, I talked with everybody else,
Yeah.
but I was more outgoing and more of myself around
Yeah.
that little group
Yeah.
versus now I'm pretty much an open book to anybody. I
Yeah.
mean, if you,
Yeah.
as long as we get to know each other, I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you pretty much everything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. So what were you mentioned kind of where you went to, what you went to school for. Was that something that you always wanted to do? What was like your childhood like? Did you have like a childhood dream of like, this is what I want to be when I grow up?
Not really. I
Oh,
mean, a lot of it, I really
neither
don't
did I, by
remember
the way.
what I thought about doing, to be honest. I mean, really, just sports, kind of the typical things, kind of
Yeah.
being a professional baseball player or something,
Hmm.
which obviously I wouldn't swing a bat, so I couldn't score any points. So that was kind of out the window there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had always kind of thought about sports. And then I was always a little bit better at math than most
Okay.
people,
Yeah.
and went all the way through calculus in high school.
Oh yeah.
Didn't do the best at it, but I could get through it. And so with it being 2009 when I graduated high school was right around the recession that was happening, and I knew,
Hmm.
okay, I've got
Yep.
another 4 years. I know engineering's pretty stable. You can come out making some pretty good money, or what
Yep.
I thought at the time was good money.
Yeah.
And now a little
Yeah.
different story. But that's
Yeah.
really why I went into it, because I felt like I was strong in math,
Yeah.
and that would be a stable job with the unstable economy at the time. And
Got
by the
it.
time it came out. So that's what really drove me to go into engineering. But really, my the second out of 3 semesters there, my last year, my senior year. So I took half a lap, half a
Yeah.
victory lap.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But really, that second semester of my senior year, I realized that I love fitness so much, and I really wanted to get into that. But I was there at the end. I'm like, man, I don't want to spend more time here.
Hmm.
I'm just going
Hmm.
to go ahead and finish that degree. And there was a little regret there, where I wanted to go down this different path that probably would have led me somewhere different. I wouldn't be here now. I wouldn't be married to the woman I'm married to now if I
Yep.
wouldn't have went down the engineering route. But
Yeah.
it's still just something that I don't regret it today. But a few years after graduating, I'm like, man, I wish I would have changed, because now I feel like I'm
Yeah.
kind of stuck. I'm paying back student loans, all that
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah, man, that's a big thing. It's like, when you're young, you just, I mean, when I went to, I mean, geez, you're young, bro. You were graduating or in college when I had a couple kids already. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I feel like I was in the same boat as you. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just
Mhm.
like, it was the same thing. Yeah, I'd love to play pro sports, but I wasn't the greatest at it. I never really applied myself 100% at practicing outside of practice. So it was one of those things where, I didn't really have, one of those things. I was never like, yeah, this is what I want to be. I want to be a doctor, lawyer, whatever, business owner. I didn't have
Mhm.
that either. So it was very similar. Where I went to school, it was the same thing. Like, let me just pick a degree that I enjoy, just to get that college education and that college
Mhm.
diploma. I think that that's kind of what a lot of people do. A lot of people do that, and they don't quite follow their heart. But do you think more people are doing that these days? More people are following their hearts a little bit more these days. I don't know if young kids are, but I feel like
Yeah,
it's
it's hard to know, man. I mean,
yeah,
we kind of get around these groups that really are following their heart,
yeah,
and you get so ingrained in that you think everybody else is like that.
yeah,
Whenever we're really a small community of
yeah,
people online that are really trying to up their game. They're trying to do what they want to build the life that they want. So I would say there's still maybe a little bit more than there was
yeah,
before social media, because just now you're able to see all that and you're able
yeah,
to get that information.
yeah,
And I know even when I was in school, social media was still very young. It's, I think, what, 2012, 2013 was when it really started exploding.
yeah,
And so you think about that, before all like internet really got big, it was hard to see what was out there. And now
yeah,
obviously, oh, just Google it, just figure it out, YouTube
yeah,
it, you can
yeah,
figure out anything.
yeah. It's
So I
true.
think now with the social media being the way it is, more people are becoming where they're going to do what they want to do
Yeah,
versus
yeah,
not. And now we're seeing the big tech companies where they're not requiring those 4-year degrees anymore. And we're starting to see other
right.
big companies start to do the same thing and follow the same suit. So I think we'll start seeing more of where we won't need that higher education. But I'm not sure if we're going to see people still really following the pursuit of whatever's on their heart, because that is scary.
It is.
And it's, I mean, it's a roller coaster at the end of the day. That's what it is. Because there's some amazing highs. There's amazing things that happen. And of course, there's the sky's the limit, but the ground isn't there. That there's no ground floor for you. I mean, you could go super in the hole money wise, like losing everything around you. So it's scary because of that possibility.
I think there's a lot of people, especially now that you mentioned social media, there's a lot of people on social media that are saying, oh, forget college, you don't need it. You know, a lot of those, because there's a lot of people that are super successful that didn't get their degree, let's face it. But then there's a lot of people out there, you know, Gary Vaynerchuk for one thing, you know, he doesn't believe that he needed his degree to get through like where he is today, but he's grateful, I believe, that he got it, right? Because it just kept moving him forward. And even he's not like somebody young that comes to him, he's not recommending, you know, scrap everything and go do exactly what you want. No, he's saying you have a lot of time, be patient, go work that 9 to 5, figure out your hustle on the side. You know what I mean? So you can have that side hustle, right? Which is something that nowadays it wasn't really doable before. And now that side hustle is now more doable. So if you are in that job that you're like, it's okay. I like it. I don't love it or whatever, but I really love doing this. And once you discover what that is, like that side hustle that you really love, which could happen at any time, you know, you're able to do that more because of technology, because of social media, because of all these things. So yeah, I think that times have changed so much. You know, so let me ask you this. You had said in college, so let's get back to college real quick. You know, you're in it. You're like, all right, I'm going to be a electrical engineer. Is that what you said? Electrical engineer? Okay, that's cool. You're starting to hit the gym. Like I think you told me at one point something like triggered. I don't want to say snapped because you didn't snap and lose your mind. Something basically said, all right, enough's enough. I got to become the man I know that I'm going to become, or that I can become. What was that? What made you change that course essentially, or how did you do it?
Well, really that happened after college when I started finally, and I don't really know how I stumbled upon self-development books or self-help books, but Rich Dad Poor Dad was that first one that I read and realized that, okay, I'll make decent money as an engineer, but that pay, it starts out great and that's it. And it just slowly goes up. And there's nothing I can do necessarily as an engineer to bring the company more money. Now, while I may save them money, I may help them design something, I'm not helping bring them more money.
Right.
And so what can I do to do that? And there's really nothing as a just straight engineer. Now there's other things I can do while I'm there to help out with that, but I'm not like a salesperson who actually literally brings in the money, brings in people that are going to pay for the products that we build.
Right.
And so that's why I really made that shift to go outside of that, because I knew I'm going to need to do something outside of my engineering job to really make that money, to make that change. Because and it's sad to see, but I know it's not just the company that I work at, and I won't mention their name. You'll be able to find it if you look me up.
Yeah.
But you're not rewarded based on how well you do your job. You're rewarded based on the people that you know, and then what kind of money that you bring back to the company. And so you don't have to necessarily be a salesperson, but how are you providing more value than just literally your job? Because just doing your job is not enough at any company. And really,
if
you're just doing your job as an entrepreneur, it's not good enough either. People may buy from you at first, but then like, well, why am I buying from you? I can just go buy from somebody else. So you have to really bring that extra value. And that's why people pay so much for, say, a coach in a different area, and they'll pay $5,000 a month for one coach versus $500, because that $5,000 coach they're both teaching roughly the same information, but the $5,000 coach brings more value in one way, shape, or form. And then, of course, you go down the rabbit hole of the fact that because you pay more attention and stuff, but there's more behind it than just literally that money figure. So that's really what got me to move down that. But I guess kind of going back to what you're saying, in college, I had that glimpse, that little trigger that said, maybe this isn't for me. But then I went back and said, no, just go ahead and finish. And it did take a couple of years of being in that role of, okay, here's the money, but there's nothing I could do. I feel like just handcuffed, like really just like the golden handcuffs that here's your salary. This is a great salary. And they try and sell you on that. And the fact that you got these benefits, and finally start realizing that, okay, I've got these benefits, but they give me 2 weeks a year to go do what I want to do.
Right. Yep.
And while that's nice that you do get paid to be off, it's still not worth it in the end, because to me, it's fun doing something like this. Like, well, we're here on a podcast, and this is business technically. You and I are networking here. We're getting our messages out there. If we're reaching people that we haven't been able to reach before, and this kind of stuff is fun to me. And I don't mind doing all that work, but being stuck in one spot at all times, that kills me. And that's what I don't necessarily like about engineering. I think I said a lot there,
but that's not even like, it's not even just engineering. Like, people are in a 9-to-5 job period. And that is the limitation, but a lot of people were brought up that, all right, I go to school, I go to college, I get a job. In my job, I work and I make my money, and you're trading your time for your money. Right. And we've all read books and heard speakers that say, why would you do that? Why would you trade your time for your money when you could, like you also said, instead of having 2 weeks a year that you get to do what you want to do. Yes, it's paid. That's great. But you could do, if you had your own thing and you were doing what you love, you're doing that every day of the week. Yeah, you're working hard, and you're working really hard when it's your own thing, but the reward is there financially. The reward is there. You get to really make your own schedule. And I think when people hear, oh, you get to make your own schedule, you're not really working that much, but you are. You're working.
But you're working more. I mean,
you're working more. You're working more. Let's face it, you're working more, but you don't mind that work, because you know that if you do it, you're going to get what you want to get out of it, which is the enjoyment of the day to day. Plus, hopefully, if you're successful, the financial reward that comes with it. So you, my friend, go from this quiet kid. All right. And again, quiet kid in high school, quiet kid in elementary school, somewhat of a quiet kid coming out of his shell into college. But look at you now. Like, you're on social media, you're doing videos. I talk to people every day, and they're like, oh, I can't really do videos, and they're in different, like, they're in businesses and in sales positions or whatever, where they need to be doing this. Right. And they're not shy people, but it's like a self-limiting belief that I can't do it. So how did you go from where you were to like, hey, I'm coaching people now, like, let's go, how did you break that mold that you were in and get to where you want to be?
It is really just a desire to be more, to be able to help people at the end of the day. It was about more than just me. And a big driver, and this was obviously before having the baby, but a big driver for me was my future children. I wanted to be able to show them that anything that you put your mind to is possible, not impossible. It is possible as long as you put your mind in action behind that. And so that's why I did that. That's why I wrote the book, why I started the podcast, why I do the posts on social media. And that's why I help people and coach people, because I want them to be able to be empowered to do that. But it really, at the end of the day, comes down to that desire, that decision in your mind to move forward on that. Because there's nothing that I say, there's nothing that you say, nothing that you read that is going to make you actually take that action. So you literally have to take that action. And really, to get over people looking at your posts on social media, somebody's got to look at it. Otherwise, nobody's going to pay attention to you. And
you want
it
that
doesn't
attention.
matter. And it doesn't matter how long you've been doing something or how short you've been doing something. There's always going to be a naysayer. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't think that you should be doing that, or you don't know what you're talking about. John, I'm sure you started out with your business, or even your not fundraiser. blanking on the actual word
Charity.
there for.
Yeah.
Yeah, your charity. Yeah,
Yep.
your charity. That people are like, why are you starting that charity?
Yeah.
Like, really? I mean, even
Yeah.
though it's for a great cause, but people are like, well, you never done a charity before. I mean, tell us about that. Like, how was that, and how did you overcome people if people did talk down about that charity?
Yeah, nobody really, as far as I know, did. But either way, I think you just have to not care. I mean, in a lot of the successful people out there will say you've made it when you have haters. You know, when you have got people that are so worried about what you're doing, they're watching what you're doing, no matter what it is. If it's your business, I'm in the mortgage business, so I have people that do this exact same thing, and whether or not when I put something out there, they look at it like, I have that program too. Well, then put it out there. Whatever they're talking, whatever you do and you put on social media, it's going to be judged. But you can't care about that.
Yeah.
So it's in my opinion, you have to put out you. And that once you really put yourself out and really brand yourself as who you really are out there on social media, that's where the game begins to change. If you're trying to fit inside somebody else's box on social media, you're never going to get anywhere. Once you start putting your own story, your own spin on things, and people realize, all right, that's John out there, that's Philip out there, that that's the message that they keep saying, whether it's my charity or my business, they're getting me, period. I put my journey of battling cancer on Facebook, on video, to share how, like, for the moment to moment, how things are, in hopes to inspire somebody who may have a challenge that day. Maybe they wake up and they're like, oh, I feel like crap today. Today stinks. I hate it. But then they see my video, maybe of me that day in the hospital, saying, hey, listen, I got my chemo treatment today, but God is good. Like a short message like that, just like that. It's a slap of reality. Like, guess what? My day's not so darn bad. And I'm not doing it to have them compare them to me, but really to realize, like, just be grateful for what you have. A lot of my messaging is just for people to be grateful, of right now, right this minute, not so much like the big things, but take the little things and just be grateful for every little moment, good or bad. You have to be. So you're going to have haters, man. And I'm sure you definitely do, because I'm sure people looked at you, said, why is this kid doing coaching? What gives him the ability and the credibility to be a coach, but that's fine. If they judge you on that, that's great. Judge away. That's more people that are clicking and commenting. And so, that you got to welcome that. So you went from a guy that didn't, engineer mindset, work in the 9 to 5, to now what moved you into this space of coaching? I know you had some fitness stuff you did before, like, kind of where did it start and where is it today? I know you mentioned, give me it all.
Yeah. So really my coaching started with that love of fitness. It was something I love to do. And obviously we have a lot of people that need help with fitness. And so I really wanted to be able to help out people with that. But as I got where I was helping people out, one, it was a struggle to get them to pay anything that was really honestly worth my time. And when I started it, I wasn't married. I didn't have a kid or anything. So my time, I guess if you'll say, it wasn't as valuable because it was only taking away time from me, and then maybe a girlfriend if I had that. But now when people, when I'm coaching them, they're not only taking my personal time, but they're taking time that I could go spend with my wife. I could go spend with my daughter. And so now my time, in my mind, and I would say a lot of other married people's minds with kids, that time is a lot more valuable than it used to be. And so that's why I kind of made that transition, because one, I wasn't able to get that money that was worth the time for me. But more important than that, I found that while I love fitness, talking about mindset and helping people overcome those mental hurdles is what I really love talking. I started coming up, and then, but I realized more than that, that it was really speaking, that was the first step to becoming that leader, to becoming that authority in whatever space that you're going into, whatever service or business or product you're providing. It's by putting that message out there, by putting yourself out there on a podcast, on a video, which social media is the easiest way to get yourself out there and get recognized, but having that courage to do that and overcome that mindset. That's where I really came from, being that fitness coach to looking into leadership and really switching over to the speaking side of things and helping people get that message out there. And really more than anything, helping married men is what I try to focus on, helping them be able to get that message out so they can then provide for their families and be able to have that message to share with their future children. I think you mentioned Gary Vee earlier, and that's one of the things that he likes to talk about a lot is not only for his kids that they can go back and see what he's done, but then also to inspire other people that, hey, you talk about you don't have time on a business meeting, or he does crazy stuff all the time, like just adding in time wherever he can. And so he's always sharing content and spreading a message of hope and helping people understand that they can do it. They're just kind of making that excuse.
Yeah. So what's your business now? What is it? I know what's your side hustle now? So what's the name of it? Like, how can people find you? I know I'm going to post some of your links. You provided your social media book. It looks like a link for that. Tell me about that real quick, and also tell me more about there it is.
Book, Mindset Over Motivation, right? So that is on Amazon. I'm actually going through a rebranding right now. So right now the name is Entrepreneurs, which was a play on entrepreneurship and engineering.
Okay.
But I do speaking coaching. So I help you get better at speaking and get your message out there. So whether it's on social media, which is mainly where I focus, but also helping you get that podcast started, writing that book, and getting that message out there through that book, and then also getting on stages. Now, that's something that I haven't quite figured out for myself. I've been on a few stages, but I haven't figured out that exact process. So I can still help you and give you ideas, but I don't like to say that I can help you get on stage, because I haven't quite done that enough for myself, but really just helping you get better and more comfortable at speaking to get that message out. And so right now you can go to entrepreneurs.net, which is entrepreneurs.net. But I will be switching that over to speaking sessions soon.
I like that. And that's what you gave me a link for that, for your speaking sessions, right?
Not for speaking sessions. So that was for my press kit.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that has a lot of my links on there. That's
perfect.
More what I share for podcast interviews I go on and stuff.
Great.
So
I'll put that.
That's something I help out with as well. Kind of help getting things organized, because especially going on a podcast like this, it's a great way just to like, hey, here's one link, rather than, well, here's this and this and this. Like, you got one spot, and so you as the podcast host can then go there and, all right, I need this one. So, okay, this says Facebook. I click there. I get the URL.
Yep.
Instagram. Okay.
Yeah.
And
That's
so on
great.
and so forth.
That's
so
great.
Make it easy. Put it in one spot.
That's great. Well, this has been awesome.
So, that's where you can reach me at. I think Instagram is probably the best spot at Philip Sessions. Philip with 1L. And, you can DM me. I'm an open book, willing to help out however I can. And
I appreciate
we can go from there.
You're covering everything I'm going to ask you, so that's good. I don't need to cover it. I was going to ask you if you're willing. Yeah.
I guess I'm getting kind of good at being on with these.
I will. I don't know. You know what's coming, right? So I will post all that information on the show notes for everyone to be able to just click on it and get in touch with you, link up with you on your social, buy that book from you, and everything like that. I always ask this last question to everybody that comes on True Story Bro. Who can your message help? Who, if there's one person that you can think to help, like who listens to this and is going to be like, all right, that's great. And how can that affect their day?
I would say a person that's really introverted, but wants to get their message out there. That person that knows they have a story, or maybe they don't think they do, but they do want to help people. They want to start helping people. Those are my people, because I've been there. I've been where I didn't think I had a story to share. I felt like I didn't do these big things or have this rags to riches kind of story, or, maybe I was in jail for 10 years and I came out and here I am, a multi-billionaire or something like that. I don't have any crazy story like that.
Yeah.
But if you're that person that wants to get that message out to help, and you need that help first figuring out what that message is, and then being able to actually share that, that's the person I'm looking for. You are the person I'm looking for.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. Anyway, Philip, I appreciate you. I appreciate, again, we've known each other for a little bit now, and I'm happy for you. You know, you've got a little baby girl now, and we could have another whole separate conversation on that. I know that for
Oh,
sure.
I know. Yeah, I can talk about it.
Yeah,
Share you pictures.
I know. I hear you. Well, listen,
Uh,
I want to thank you again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. You're definitely going to serve some people. I'm going to get your message out there. Hopefully people will buy your book too. That's kind of cool too. I don't think I even realized you had a book somehow. I don't know how. But
well,
yeah,
that's my fault. I didn't put that message out there
there we
enough.
go. Let's go. Let's get it out there. But again, thank you guys. Thank you all again for listening to our story on True Story Bro. I really appreciate it. Philip Sessions. Link up with him on Facebook. If you need him for anything, reach out to him directly. And stay tuned. We got some more really awesome episodes in the process. Thanks for listening.